So the other day I watched the WHAM documentary, and you talk about nostalgia. Um, Seeing them and hearing those songs just took me back to when I was a kid growing up, and I loved those songs. I loved WHAM, and so to hear the story of how they started and their friendship before they even they before they blew up was so it was just heart wrenching, and to know how the story ended, it was bittersweet. But man, um, what was the song? Um, Careless Whisper. That song, to this day, hearing the intro, that saxophone, just, man, it just, you talk about nostalgia. That just really puts me back to, being a kid and hearing that song for the first time. And I grew up in the projects, and there was a football stadium a few miles from my house. And I remember when he came to concert here, I could hear the concert from my house. And man, and seeing that documentary just brought all those memories, rushing back to me. And but to know that back then, I think with George Michael being gay and all that stuff, and people not finding out too much later, but you can kind of see his it's heartbreaking to know he was suffering like that, because he couldn't be himself, because he had become this international sex symbol for women, when he really wasn't into them. And just imagine that that type of suffering inside, not really being who you truly are, not being able to express that, you know but it came out beautifully through his music, and but the relationship that he had with Andrew Wrigley was really just, it was just a beautiful friendship, to I know sometimes people are hesitant, when they are gay and coming out to their family and friends, and he felt comfortable enough to tell his friend, knowing that he was just solid enough to, to take that information and love him anyway, because that's not always the case with people when they come out of the closet. And but you can certainly see his the like, now that I'm an adult and I've lived a little, and I've experienced some stuff, looking at him now through my adult eyes, it was very clear that he was gay, because there's just something very feminine in the way that he moved, but as a kid, a young, like a preteen, I just remember thinking he was really cute. And but if you haven't had a chance to watch it, if you grew up in the 80s, I'm certain, I was born in the 70s, but I came of age in the 80s, and I love everything about the 80s. And Wham, it was just such a lovely documentary, and it focused on the positive stuff. And there was one point where his dad asked him if he could even sing, and I'm like, yeah, I thought that was bizarre, because like, how you guys live in the same house and you don't know if your kid can sing, that seems odd to me. But nonetheless, he was proud of him, and he says as much in the video. But to see how a story begins, and know how it ends, is I like stuff like that, and this documentary was really bittersweet, you know, and I hate that George Michael is no longer with us, because he did, man, he just offered so much musically to the world, and I just loved his songs. And but if you haven't watched it, it's interesting. If you're a person who likes documentaries, you know, about people, I guess. But that's all I got. Have a good day.